my dear friend Carrie Castle, international rock star, OG designer. We're going to talk to her this morning in her beautiful boutique, but this is her life.
So, hi. Yeah. It's like a perfect summer day. And gosh, I really want, I'm so inspired by your story. Looking back, I can start with when I went to fashion school, I think I was really lucky to have been funded because the government used to help us go to school. And
That was in Seattle.
that was in Seattle. And I got to shop really, really nice fabrics. And I think at the same time as going to school for design, I got a real background, a real taste for fabrics that were high quality. So many years later, bumped into a great shop in France and found this dream fabric, which is like a cotton voile, which was rarely available in the US at the time. And I was inspired to go start shopping and going to India, and I started a little collection. So at the time, I had a little hat shop in Seattle, and I remember calling, like looking through my phone book, because we always kept like the paper phone book. And when I'd see the name of the shop in Paris, I would be like, oh, I should call them again. And so I called the people in India, and their response was really nice. They were like, absolutely, that's no problem. Come on over. And I just remember being on the phone going, go to India, like thinking it in my head, like, oh my God, what? And so I was a little overwhelmed.
What
Yeah,
year was that?
1992. And I did start going to India in 92. So I went over and found the place, found the people. They were really great. Told us where to stay and everything. I went with a girlfriend. We made it to the place where they had the fabrics, and I got to know them and started picking out a bunch of different yardage to take home. And the people said, well, what are you going to make? And I said, well, I'm making a long sleeve blouse, and I still sell it. It's called the rocker shirt. And they said, well, do you want us to make that for you? And I said, well, I mean, I have a sample and I have the pattern here, but we're only here for 10 days. And they said, that's okay. Like, we'll do it. And so we got to go back and see the sewers and come back every few days, and the shirts were stacking up and everything was gorgeous, and, French seams and pearl buttons. And I mean, it was just a miracle. So yeah, I came back and started to rep some of her fabrics and bedding, sold my shirts like instantly, got a handful of stores to buy my stuff, and then went right back to India and did it again and again and again.
Suddenly you went from designing. It's so fascinating to me. You went from designing.
Yeah.
You found you didn't give up on
what I want.
calling you.
Yeah.
And then you grew to the next level, which was importing.
Right.
Designing long distance.
And at that point, I had to do my own prints and do my own stuff. So I got some stuff going with this family that I used in the beginning. I bought all white stuff from, and I knew she had worked for Inoki, like when in her design process or school. So she knew about how to do prints, and I was like, "Please, will you do prints for me? Can I do my own?" Yes, I've worked with the same people for
I love that.
more than 30 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you've had so eventually you were drawn to Laguna because
Well, I lived here in the 80s before I started the collection, and it's such a beautiful beachy vibe. And as my line grew, Seattle didn't make a ton of sense, and came down, and a little shop kind of fell into my hands in the first year that I was here, and it's right next door to us right now. And I was there for about 8 years, and you were down the street.
right. So what would you say you have
Well, you listen to your gut. So that's ultimate. And, but I have had great success with, like doing stuff with anthropology and ABC and, things that are a little more me. It's also really fun to work with challenges.
Yeah.
So for me,
Pushes you
oh yeah.
in a different direction.
Well, like for a while, I was designing prints for a friend who does, it's called Direct Pack, and they do packaging for grocery stores and all kinds of, delis, and they go to food shows, and it's a whole fun group. They're all foodies, and I'm a foodie. So, but just fun challenges like, what about this hummus company? And I remember thinking, oh, I want to do the lid with this on it. And, I don't know. Just please get me Taco Bell. I've got such a great idea. I don't know. And I still kind of love to operate that way. I just got a bunch of fabric from my friends down the street that was outdoor fabric. And he just had remnants and nothing really rhymed, or it was like, just see what comes out. I love a challenge like that. And now I have all this patio stuff out in my yard, and I so stand behind it. We've sort of spent time on our social media, and we've advanced in our online sales, and a lot of shops did close. So that was hard for some of the wholesale work. We still, have new stores, and I just started a hotel collection that's coming out. We do a lot of custom pillows that are specific sizes in my prints. So those, and then just things they could have in little boutique-y kind of, gift shops and whatnot too.
You know that girl in Seattle that did the hat store?
Yeah.
If you go back to her, like, how do you feel? Like, how would she see you today?
Well,
did she get her dreams?
Yeah, huge surprise. But, I think I was right. I used to see ants by my door. What? It was like, how you get ants?
Like a stream of...
Yeah, I had my little hat shop in Seattle, and it was called Frozen Foods. And because that's the sign that was up there, and a lot of us in Seattle kind of just left things the way they were, and that was the name of your store.
That's funny. I love it.
Yeah. And it wasn't open to the public, but there would be crowds of people out in the window going like, this is such a beautiful store. And I'd be on the phone going, I think it's a store. Yeah. But I just did by appointment. And, but there was this one thing, there was all these ants outside, and I thought, oh, money's coming. And I just didn't kill them. I always thought that's what that meant. And when I went to India, they said, oh, yeah, ants mean money.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I totally love that. So you always had that.
So I had that trust that everything was going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I love that, by the way. That's inspiring to all of us, just to really do trust your passion.
Be grateful.
So if there's possibly a lot of young students that are,
of course,
interested in having the life that you've created, what advice?
I think you learn construction, and you figure out what inspires you, pick a lane, maybe, like some people like shoes, some people want to do swim, and it's possible. It really is. And it's, I think you go out and you get your intern job, and you learn from people, and learn the portion of the business that you like, and
keep at it. And it's like, you don't start at the top. I think that it sounds like some people think you get to just walk in and be at the top, and it's like you have to learn your craft. Yeah.
I mean, and there's so many now with the social media and everything, there's so many different jobs and things you can do in our profession. Yeah.
Yeah.
And travel is important. I definitely, that trip to Paris, and, being in the south of France when I was 30 years old, that was all like where the magic started.
Well, cool. Well, thank you, love.
Oh, so happy to meet it.
Introduce you to everyone.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Good luck.
Ciao.